start that recording right now. Can everybody hear me? Can you just give me a thumbs up if you can actually hear me? Because sometimes when you mess around with your audio, excellent, thank you. All right, so it is hot and we are going to talk about our hot STEM summer, making sure that we are connecting our summer programs with science, technology, engineering, and math. We have a fun presentation tonight. Hopefully you'll be able to jump in a couple of times and we can have a little discussion here or there. Do you have an activity? It might be a little hard with a small group, but we will modify it. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Ellie Mitchell. I am the director of the Maryland Out of School Time Network. We are Maryland's statewide after school network, and we are the affiliate to the National After School Association. And we have tons of resources on our website, and we do hope that you will visit us and sign up for our newsletter. We send out a newsletter about every 2 weeks, and we chock it full of everything you might want to know in terms of grant opportunities, training opportunities, new research, you name it, conferences, it's all there. So, so please take advantage of that if you have not already. We appreciate that. So just a real quick about me. I am a native Baltimorean. I went to Western High School. I have been director of the Maryland Out of School Time Network since 2009, which seems like forever. And I am a mom of 2 teenagers who are definitely making my summer interesting, and a very loud beagle who I apologize in advance if he interrupts us. He does have his moments of being very beaglish and howling at things. But that is the world of virtual training these days. And it's actually his birthday. He's 3 years old today. So happy birthday to my beagle, Copper. So I want to get to know you a little bit and who's in the room. So if you could, in the chat, give us your name and your organization and how STEMmy are you, where 1 is STEM is scary to 10, you work for NASA. So somewhere in that 1 to 10 range, how STEMmy do you feel you are? So if you want to pop in the chat and add that information for us, that would be great. I'm going crazy on my slides here. You can also come off mute and turn on your camera or do however you'd like, whatever is easiest. Chat. So your organization and how comfortable are you in this STEM space?
I can go. Can you hear me?
Yes, that's great.
All right. So my name is Kelvin Dagadu, and I'm a sophomore in college now, but I'm with CASA. We are CASA, or CASA de Maryland. And Kasali, who's on the call, is my supervisor, and Jessica is my fellow. So I'm an AmeriCorps for CASA this year. And how STEMmy are you? I'll say 6.
Nice. That's pretty high. Have you had some experience in the STEM world before?
So I'm actually in college and my major is engineering.
Well, I would put you up there really high then.
I'm taking an internship with a construction company. So I'm still learning.
Awesome. That is very high STEM. Okay, we've got another 6. That's excellent. And I'm so glad all of you are, I love CASA. I'm a big fan of you guys. I'm so super happy that you could join us tonight. And we'll have kind of a team effort. In fact, our activity is kind of a team project. So I think it's something that'll be kind of fun since you all know each other to do together. So we will keep going. And Jessica, You are a 4. Okay. Well, we're going to get everybody up to 10 by the time we get through here. So our agenda tonight, and we probably will not have to do the whole hour and a half here because we're a small group, we'll be able to move through this quickly. We're going to talk a little bit about why STEM is so important. We're going to talk about what great STEM programming looks and feels like. And we are going to try a little activity that is technology focused that you can do, I think, very easily with your students. We are going to highlight some great resources for finding STEM content. And we will see if you have resources you want to share as well to add to my list. I like to crowdsource and learn more from all the people that are participating with me in these kinds of events. And then we'll have questions and discussion. So let's get going through this. Okay. So I'm interested in why you all are here tonight, why STEM is of interest to you for your programs at CASA. And then I can talk a little bit about why I think STEM is so exciting and great for out of school time programs. So anybody want to jump in and say what's kind of the hope and dreams for CASA in relationship to STEM? I see you've come off mute. Anyone want to venture?
Chrisali unmuted, but I think her audio is glitching out.
Oh. Well, Chrisali, if you want to throw something in the chat too, that is fine. I will walk through my slides and we will come back to that. So for us at Most, we've been working on STEM and after school for quite a while now. In this space, we do it because we think STEM education is one of the #1 equity issues. And it is really important because not only is STEM can be a very high paying job and jobs that support families. But, really STEM is solving the problems that are shaping society as we know it. And so we do not want to have any group of people excluded from that being part of the solution. And we want those solutions to be designed by the people that are most impacted. And so that's why we think this is, as I mentioned, the #1 equity issue that many young people tend to be historically excluded from STEM learning opportunities, STEM careers. And we want to make sure that particularly through after school programs that are serving youth that may be in these categories, that STEM becomes part of building a STEM identity with young people. So did you guys want to add anything in terms of what you're hoping for in terms of STEM in CASA? I know that Chris, your audio was being challenging, but I will just keep going, but feel free as you go along to comment, ask questions, and join in the chat or jump off mute at any time since we're such a small group. So we really want to focus today on what high quality STEM programming looks like. I always give an example of there are lots of things that are STEMmy and fun to do with kids that may or may not really truly end up with a high level of STEM learning. One of the big things that kids love to make and is a common STEM activity is making goo, right? Well, that's really a recipe-based type experience. You can make it more STEM learning by how you facilitate it. If you have, maybe you're not giving the whole recipe and you're experimenting with what different amounts of ingredients might look like, or you're forming a hypothesis about the goo in a different way, shape, or form. There's lots of ways to make an activity STEMmy and have a little bit more of that hands-on, minds-on experience that we talk about. So you really want to think about not just what activity you're doing or what the content is, but how you're facilitating. So equity focus, and this hands-on, minds-on. We're going to talk about each of these things specifically. Learning together, or relevance and meaning, and utilizing an engineering mindset. So our engineer here might be able to help us with that as well. So really starting with equity in mind as you're designing your programming. I have a whole bunch of links here that you can explore on your own, and you will get a copy of this deck where you can go and take a look at some of these equity and inclusion resources. But thinking about when you're using mentors and role models, how those role models and mentors might connect to the students you serve. When you're designing your programs, thinking about, is this an activity that both young women and young men are going to engage in with equal interest? These are kinds of things that we are hoping you're thinking about as you're designing your programs. And these are some great resources around STEM and equity that you can take advantage of and when you're building and designing out. So hands-on, minds-on. So this is another category of what great STEM looks like. It can be really messy, and you don't have to finish projects in one sitting. That is one of the advantages of out of school time programs. They should be fun. As I mentioned earlier, maybe avoid the sort of cookie cutter recipes, or even sort of like kits that are just have instructions on how things are put together. Those don't always prompt the same kind of problem solving or thoughtfulness as activities that really require a little bit of struggle. A little bit of struggle is okay, and it's good. And that's something that you can encourage in your program and in your students, is that sometimes it doesn't have to go right the first time. It's okay. This is a really good resiliency and grit building experience to have a positive relationship around learning when things don't always happen, just connect at the right moment. And they have to come back to it a little bit. And then I do think STEM content is important. So you want to really delve into some real stuff around science, technology, engineering, and math. You want to give projects that have some depth to them. And we'll talk about some resources for that as we go further. The other thing that makes STEM learning super important is that it is relevant to your students. If you can focus in on real world problems, on things that they may be interested in solving. And again, I can't stress enough the importance of utilizing role models and mentors, ideally those that have some relationship and look like the students that you are serving. And if you want resources on finding, really great role models and mentors, we are fortunate to have our sister organization, Maryland Mentor, in our office, and we'd be happy to help you connect with some science-based, STEM-based role models and mentors. Acknowledging history. So, we have a deep and wide history of STEM learning, and that often does not get covered, particularly when we're talking about African-American and Latino, Latinx STEM historical figures. They don't always be brought up in classroom settings. And so I think it's our job to do that in the out of school time space. And then really opening worlds. STEM is a big, broad category, and there's so many different career opportunities. So spending some time exploring pathways and careers and what the steps are to get to those careers is a really also great way to bring in relevance and meaning to students. One other thing to mention is that you do not have to be a STEM expert. That is the beauty of working together with students on STEM. You can use inquiry and ask a lot of questions. You don't have to know the answer. It's always about the answer is, I don't know the answer to that question. Let's find out together, is the prompt that we like to use when working with students. You can really give students leadership in STEM. And again, this whole concept of developing STEM identity, that is actually a bigger predictor of success in STEM, future STEM careers, than your 8th grade science or math scores. Having the sense that you can be what you want to be in terms of a STEM career, that you have that STEM identity, that is more, that keeps students motivated and going, even more so than achieving in the subject matter. And then the last piece on this quality front is the engineering mindset. There's just keeping in the mind, and I know we have our engineer here, that it is always a iterative process, that you are starting with just maybe exploring your materials, and then you're trying to see how those materials might apply to these real world problems. But you're doing a design process, you're working in teams, and then you might have multiple solutions and you see how they work, and then you try again. And it's this ongoing and circular process that is really how scientists and engineers think and work. So I have 2 great resources for you to tap into for this quality of STEM implementation. And I highly encourage you go visit both of these sites and explore these in more depth. So the DOS planning tool, it's called the Dimensions of Success, really goes step by step into all the questions you want to ask in planning a really high quality STEM experience for your students. And then Click to Science is an online professional development. It's all free, has lots of videos, and it goes into all of these different best practices in detail, making meaning and relevance, hands-on, minds-on type of facilitation, inquiry, how to facilitate inquiry with your students. There are some great examples and videos, and also materials you can use to train your own staff on those practices. So again, you will get this, this PowerPoint, and we will have the opportunity to, you'll have the opportunity to explore those links on your own. So this is a little activity that I have done with students, and I've done it myself as well. And it's a little harder to do it. We would normally do like a small group, but I think in this case, if you can each maybe get a piece of paper ready, and we can kind of talk through this together a little bit. So this is a project where you design on paper a mobile application. So just like you would have on your phone, we think about, we use apps all the time, every day, for all kinds of things. I have an app to identify flowers on my phone. I have an app for, let's see, finding my keys, which I lose on the regular. A really great problem that solved for me through that application. And kids use apps all the time, and they understand how they work. So one of the things we want them to start doing is being creators of technology and not just consumers. And so thinking through how an app might be developed. So does anybody want to maybe come up with one or two real world problems that we could potentially solve with a mobile application. Any ideas for that?
Thinking hard on this one.
Great.
But like all my ideas are like construction, and I'm not seeing like a problem that can be fixed with an app.
So, what kinds of things that do you, and maybe think inside, it doesn't have to be something specific. It could be something more personal. It could be something more community related. I'll give you an example. When I ran this workshop in person, we had two women from No Boundaries Coalition there, and they came up with the idea that their app would solve a problem around trash in the city. And basically they came up with a mobile application that would basically be like a Uber or Lyft for trash pickup, so that people would identify where there had been trash left in the city, like lots that were full of trash, or alleyways that were full of trash, and then the people could apply to be the person who cleans that up, and they would get paid for doing that by the city, almost like like I said, like an Uber or Lyft for trash pickup. So that was the idea that they came up with to solve the problem of, in Baltimore, many of our communities have dumping issues, and the Department of Public Works has been understaffed and overworked for long, and had some issues during COVID. And so this was the solution they came up with. So that was just one example. And then they storyboarded it, and were able to kind of draw out what the screens would look like for that mobile application. Any ideas? Does that spark any ideas?
I don't know. I was thinking, well, I don't know if it's practical, but maybe like an SD card that has like, let's say, other things on it, like music or videos already stored on it, and then you could like scan your phone like from the SD card, and then you could like get the information on your phone without like something like wirelessly getting the info from it, if you don't have to insert it into your phone.
Yeah, so that's a technology solution that might be beyond the mobile application. That's almost a whole like how you get phones and other technology to talk to each other and communicate. So you're taking this one step further for me. This is a really it's a hard to do this not in person. I have to admit, like to do this activity, usually like we spend a few minutes on the brainstorming, and then a few minutes on the storyboarding, and then a few minutes on preparing the pitch, which we do as a group. And so this is really hard to do virtually, but it's really fun to do with your kids. And the beauty of it is that you don't have to stop with the paper. There are really great resources that kids can use without a lot of technology background to actually develop these mobile apps into real life. So Technovation is one example of this. It is a girls mobile app development competition. And they have all these tools on their website, a full curriculum and training on how to design mobile applications. I'm using this tool called MIT App Inventor. And again, all this is free. It's all online. You can go and explore it. And it's just really, my experience of it is that students find it very exciting. It's very relevant to them. They understand the technology of using apps and they love to build their own. And then to also, they build them and put them on the App Store and actually sell them. And so we've seen this be very successful in a number of programs, and it's fun and it's very empowering because again, you're solving those real world problems. A couple other highlighted resources. Again, I'm trying to highlight things that are free or low cost or no cost. There is a mobile app called Mizzen by Mott. If you go to the website, you can download it from App Store, you name it. And it has tons of free, really high quality content. The California Academy of Science and NASA, Wildlife Federation, PBS. If you have younger kids, PBS has a whole set of STEM kinds of stuff there. And then STEM Next also has a lot of their resources on there. I highly recommend you download this. It doesn't have just STEM resources as well. It has arts content. It has the 1619 project content. It's really, really good. So definitely want to make sure that you all see that. Another one of our favorites, we just did a training on this recently, is Raspberry Pi. Again, their website has a ton of free content and materials. It is a little, very affordable mini computer. It's great for teaching coding, but many of the activities and coding activities on the Raspberry Pi website don't require you to actually have the Raspberry Pi computer. You can still use them for teaching coding and getting kids excited about coding. So I'm going to stop here and just see if you guys have any favorite STEM resources that you have experienced or would like to share. Anything you've tried in your programs in the past or that you've experienced yourself? Again, I like to collect these as I go along, so I learn more and more about kind of the STEM opportunities I can share with others. And you can throw them in the chat if you think of any along the way. So the next few slides are just, again, just a ton of places. And again, all these links will be live in the slides I send out. Math is a really important subject right now for young people because the impact of COVID-19 on learning has actually done more damage, so to speak, around math gaps than it has even around reading. So thinking through exciting and interesting ways to work with math and to help bring math into households. Code.org is sort of the starting point for all the different learning coding resources. Girls Who Code is great, again, for engaging those young women in technology. So these will, again, all these links will be live. NASA is just, I mean, you can go down a rabbit hole on the NASA website. There's so much there, again, all free. And Goddard is right in our backyard and they love to connect and engage. So that could be a potential good partner or field trip experience if you're looking for that. It's right in the backyard in Prince George's County. You know, sometimes we can't get to those field trips. So there is taking virtual tours or using virtual reality is another potential. And again, Tech Bridge Girls, just high quality, great STEM content. There are also these great sources for STEM locally in Baltimore. So don't ever want to have folks forget that. We have Baltimore City Recs and Parks actually has like 5 different STEM centers in their Recs and Parks facilities. You have Code in the Schools and Digital Harbor Foundation. Global Air Drone Academy is always looking to partner around drone education. So there's just a lot of great places for you to connect around STEM, the Science Center, the Makerspace at OpenWorks, University of Maryland Extension 4-H, the Baltimore office does a lot around STEM, and they are generally a partner that is free and easy to access. So again, all these links are live and in the slide deck when you get them. And that's really it for me tonight. It's kind of hard for us to do that activity in the virtual world. I'm gonna put this slide back up in a second. I just need to grab the link for this. So drop in the chat for you and I will follow up with it. Oops. Let me go back to my share screen and go to my contact slide. Let's see, from current slide and there. And I'm just going to drop this evaluation link in the chat for you. And I am here to take questions and, you know, hear any, triage any thoughts you might have about like where to start with some of these STEM resources. But that's pretty much what I have for you tonight.
Thank you very much, Miss Ellie. And
Yes.
you said you were going to email us the presentation.
Yes, I will send you the presentation and the recording. We also have, all those links in the presentation will be live, so you can just connect right directly from the presentation to anything that you're interested in exploring further.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
I know that was really quick. I I just want to make sure that, you know, we're getting you what you need.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on with my phone and I was transitioning from the office home, but I just want to say thank you. I try to screenshot as much as possible so that we can use these resources, but if you can send it to us, that would be great.
Yeah, no, there's a lot in there and it's much better to just go directly to those links and connect them. Yeah. The one other thing I would mention, and I think they're linked in the national, what age students are you guys going to be working with?
Mainly high school age students, and we might expand to middle school next year.
Yeah, so there's one other resource I want to share that I think is not in the it's not directly in this link. It's something that we use for our career and college readiness. But they have a whole, and I'm going to stop for a second and I'm going to find the link and I'm going to drop it in the chat. It's Jobs for the Future. And Jobs for the Future, it's really perfect for middle and high school students. And they have a whole curriculum that's STEM focused that introduces young people to STEM careers, but also STEM content. Again, all completely free and online, and it's really, really quite good. So it's, I I'm about to get to it. It's called Possible Futures. And I am going to drop the link in the chat, and I will also include it when I follow up. It's again, it's just like it really focuses on all of these different STEM careers, and it has 12 lessons in each. They're about 45 minutes a piece. There's learner worksheets, there's facilitator guides. So it's really good. And again, all completely free and perfect for high school students. So let me just, here, I'm gonna drop that link into the chat, but I'll also include it in the follow-up materials from this evening. It's just it's I don't know why it's not even linked into this the original slide deck, because it's one of my favorites, and it has both that career exploration as well as the really good STEM content.
Great, thank you. We love free resources.
Yeah, I know it's hard sometimes to find things for that are like completely and utterly and completely free. So that's a really good one.
Great, thank you again, and have a great night.
Yep. Well, thank you, everybody. And like I said, I'll send all these resources out really right after this, because I got a little time, and I'm glad we could come together tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.